Welcome to Catholic Life, ordinary people with extraordinary faith. I'm Deacon Jodi. Thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to dive into Catholic education. I'm blessed to be with Dr. Melanie Palmisano, our Superintendent of Catholic Schools here for the Diocese of Baton Rouge. Dr. Mel, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me.
You belong here.
I do enjoy talking about Catholic education, so I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, I love having you here. And you know, we just finished the school year. We're looking at another one. It's a good time to kind of reflect on kind of where we were, where we are, and where we're going.
Absolutely, it's a great time. And reflection is extremely important. You know, there's a book called The Reflective Practitioner, and it's about educators and administrators and what they need to do. So people think we have the summer off, and we really don't. We've already had a lot of professional development. Our teachers came for a week and had a teacher institute. It was incredible this year. We have a good institute every year, but a shout out to Diane Talbot and Linda Rausch for pulling all that together. We had 2 topics at this year's Teacher Institute, and one was Good to Great in Teaching.
Good to Great.
Good to Great. Well,
yes.
it was not Collins, it was Annette Bro, but she did a great job. Good to Great job. And we also had Maximizing the Impact, and the teachers really liked both of them. It's one of those things where, you know, it's Monday through Thursday, 4 days, and on Monday, the people who were there are calling their friends saying, you need to come, for everyone. So we had a lot of walk-in registrants. So it was very important, I think, that teachers also reflect on their practice. And then the following weekend, we began our annual Summer Leadership Summit, which we have for the Diocese of Baton Rouge principals and assistant principals.
Oh, nice.
And this year we had an author, a national author, Robin Jackson, come in and talk about how to coach up, how to build up faculty. So that they could do the best job they could in the classroom. And we also had a wonderful training on resilient leadership, which is a national program, also another book that was written, and we had the author with us. Bob came. It was just a wonderful opportunity to get together, and we go away for that, for the administrators conference, because we think it's important that they unplug as much as possible. Because if we had a local workshop, even if it was 3 days locally, they would leave and do work at school. They just work so hard. But they need to get away, and they need to be together and know that they're in a family. You know, no one understands the walk of a principal except another principal. So, so they had a wonderful time. The feedback was very positive, and so we're looking forward to another great year.
Very good, very good. So I think the take from that is that there's no summer for teachers.
There's not a lot of summer for teachers, and they need some downtime because they need to reflect on their practice. And when you look at the hours of an educator, you know, they get to work very early, they work all day, they plan all night, they answer emails, they return calls, they attend after-school activities. By the time they do all that, there is no time to reflect. You know, you become a human doing sometimes instead of a human being. And so it's very important that they have some time in the summer to reflect. But they've been highly engaged. They've been doing curriculum mapping. They reach out to each other on a regular basis. A very collaborative community that we have here in the Diocese of Baton Rouge.
So a lot of people have this idea that teachers, they work 9 months out the year, they got the summers free.
That's not true.
It's not so.
It's not even close to true. In fact, our educators gathering is the first Tuesday in August. So at most they have June and July, but they're taking professional development, and a lot of them, I can remember when I was a principal, they would beg to get in their classrooms in June and July so they could freshen them up. And I had all the floors waxed, and it was an effort to keep them out. I can remember teacher footprints on my newly waxed floors because they would sneak in. I'd stop doing that. But they're just wonderfully dedicated ministers, and we could not be happier. This year for our Ed Gathering, which is on Monday, August 5th. We're going to have Jonathan Doyle from Australia.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have an international speaker. We're very excited. It took 2 years to line up the logistics on that, but we were able to do it, and we'll have about 1,000 people. And we're going to have it at St. George this year. Most Blessed has hosted us the last 2 years, but this year we're going to. We're going to let St. George enjoy being host.
Okay.
There's a lot of work that goes into it, and the principal offered. He said, they've done it for 2 years. How about I'll do it next year? So we thought that was very generous.
So St. George took over from St. George II, since MBS was part of St. George. So
Evidently,
it's all the same thing.
You know, we're all very connected
We are
and very related.
connected.
Yeah.
It
so,
is
but the principals are that good, and they know how important it is. At that Ed gathering, we come back together, and the bishop commissions all of us to be ministers in Catholic education, and we think that's
awesome.
extremely important.
So I'll tell you a little story. We're shopping for a house, and we're looking at this house, and I see the neighbor. So you know me, I'm going to go talk, right? I walk over, and I said, hey, excuse me, you got a second? He says, you're Deacon Jodi from MBS. Well, I had been in MBS for 16 years.
Right.
And I said, well, yeah. I said, you go to MBS? He says, well, my kids went there. They're all graduates of college now. So you have a lot. I mean, just in that little story, you know, that you primed them right.
A lot of deep roots.
Yeah.
A lot of deep roots in the Catholic community.
It really is. It's so cool, and you just see it. And it's so funny because also at this house we were looking at, they had little pelicans on the front, and so my wife says, "Oh, pecolins." Because that's what the kids used to call the Pelicans when they first started, because it's the MBS Pelicans.
Right.
So yeah, it's so much part of our roots,
right,
you know.
right.
But we really do have to thank the teachers for all the investment they put, not only in their prior preparation, but the ongoing preparation.
Right.
And actually execution that they do. And
they do. And I know they take a lot of classes in religious education.
Those MAT classes,
Those
right?
MAT classes. We have a requirement that our teachers have to be basic certified within 4 years of teaching in the Diocese of Baton Rouge, and that's part of their contract. So that, you know, it's a real serious thing, and they do a wonderful job getting it done.
Oh, that is awesome. That's very good. So, looking at the diocese as a whole, I mean, we all see our little bitty part. You know, it's so cute. Like my little 3-year-old granddaughter goes to St. Thomas More Preschool, and so somebody will say, "What school you go to?" St. Thomas More Preschool. You know,
they are too
they
cute.
all are attached to what they are, but you see it from a different perspective. You see the global effect of the macro effort and where it leads these kids.
We do, and what we've seen in the last 10 years is a commitment to continuous improvement. You know, we achieved national accreditation through Southern Association about 9 years ago. 10 years ago we started that journey, and we completed it within a year, and we've had ongoing certification ever since, and it requires continuous improvement. So it's not an effort that you do a report and you put it on a shelf. You have to live improvement.
Right.
And so we see that that has raised the tide. Everybody in the boat's gone up in the last 10 years because of that effort and that commitment.
Right. And when you raise the tide and you're raising everybody up, even the ones that are having a little struggle get caught up in the momentum.
They do.
And it gives everybody a chance to excel.
Absolutely. I wish that everyone could see, you know, when you mentioned that balcony view that I have the privilege of having as superintendent, and my staff, I think, see it too. We stand back and we look at the beautiful tapestry of what our schools are, what they make up, because they're each unique, they're each different, but they're more alike than different, and they are very connected. They are woven together in a beautiful tapestry of Catholic education, whether it's a rural school, an urban school, a suburban school, a city school, it doesn't really matter. They are colleagues, all of our teachers, all of our principals, and we're here for one purpose.
Right, for the kids.
For the kids,
and for their future. For their future.
Right.
That is very good. So, where we were, tell us about how we did this year.
We did great. We did great again this year. I'm proud.
I know, that's why I brought it up. I could tell.
Yeah, it's so exciting because the teachers, you know, we have a standardized a set of standards.
Right.
So while each school doesn't have to teach the exact same thing, especially they don't teach the exact same way, and that's perfectly fine. That's the art of education. What we do know is that it's important that we have expectations and high, rigorous expectations of what children should know and be able to do at each grade level. Those are posted on our website at csobr.org, and anyone can look at our standards for math, for English language arts, you know, science, different things like that. So it's very important that our teachers be clear about what's expected, and they've gotten that clarity. We've been working several years on an initiative to map all of the curriculum. We're using a software, and so it's been a great opportunity for us to come together and make sure that the product that we're delivering is truly top.
Right. And so one of the things that we'd like everybody to know is that, you know, we do have a history of excellence in our Catholic education system. We're going to take a break in a minute. We're going to talk about the future because you're not standing still, I know.
No.
But historically, it's really nice to know where you took us in the last 10 years.
Well, we were strong. There was a great foundation to build upon, but I do think that we've kept up, and we're in 21st century learning in our schools.
That is excellent. So, as we move toward 2019 fall, we're trying to get through these summer days when it's so hot, and I know our teachers are involved with that right now. As the excitement is what I wanted to say. Tell us a little bit about the excitement, then when we come back from the break, we'll fill it in.
Well, we're extremely excited to start the new year. Our theme this year is Moving in the Spirit.
Ooh.
And so last year we were going with the flow. You know, we talked about water of life, and this year we're moving in the Spirit. And so we gave the principals a wind chime for each school. Wow. So every time they heard that, they would know that the breath of Christ, our breath of our God, is moving as a spirit in their lives.
That is awesome.
To remind them that that's the purpose.
That is fantastic. That is great. Before we take a break, I'm going to tell you a little short story. I got a picture just recently from a friend I went to grammar school with, and it's a picture of St. Rose de Lima Church, and it is a theater.
Off of Esplanade?
It's Grand St. John. Yeah. It is a theater now. They've totally converted it to a theater, and I was looking and I said, wow, look at those stained glass windows.
Oh, beautiful, huh? How beautiful is that?
That's part of the roots of Catholic education,
it is.
And it's like 100 years ago I was there.
And the recent fire in Paris.
Oh, yes.
That rose glass remain is just such a gift.
It's fantastic.
Such a gift.
So we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about the future. How's that?
Sounds great.
We're talking to Dr. Mel, who's the Superintendent of Catholic Education for the Diocese of Baton Rouge, and we're talking about where we were, where we are, and where we're going, and we hope you're enjoying it as much as we're enjoying bringing it to you. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the break.
Our greatest responsibility is caring for God's children. And at any given time in Louisiana, we have over 4,000 children in foster care. But we also have over 4,000 churches.
If every church recruits one family willing to foster one child, and that church family wraps themselves around that foster family in support of that child, we can change the direction of that child's life, their future, and the future of our state.
While not everyone has been called to be a foster parent, we are all called to support those who have. And there are so many ways to lend a helping hand, whether through volunteering our time tutoring, babysitting, providing a new coat for the winter, or helping to pay for Little League or dance lessons.
You don't have to open your home to make a difference in the life of a foster child. You just have to open your heart. One church, one family, one child.
Time and time again, you know, when I'm doing street magic, I'll walk up to someone and I can just see that they're against me, right? They don't want to be amazed. They don't want this experience to happen. But then the magic happens and all that falls away. It's the experience of waking up and seeing things the way you saw them before they became ordinary. I'm looking for that experience of wonder.
I'm Renee Richard, host of Roots of Faith. Our new series, Exploring Our Parishes, will do exactly that. These shows will allow you to meet the devoted and dynamic leaders of the faithful in the Diocese of Baton Rouge. Journey with us as we explore our parishes.
Focus, a weekly series that takes an inspirational and informative look at today's culture through religious, entertaining, and informative family-oriented programs. Join us each week for Focus here on Catholic Life Television.
Welcome back to Catholic Life, Ordinary People with Extraordinary Faith. I'm Deacon Jodi Moscona, and we're glad that you stayed with us through the break. We're talking to Dr. Melanie Palmisano, who is the Superintendent of Catholic Schools for the diocese. And every year we kind of do a powwow on the state of the schools, so to speak. I love to have you back on, and thank you for staying with us through the break, and thank you for coming today.
I really appreciate the invitation.
So we talked about kind of the history. Let's kind of bring us up to date, and as we look forward to the fall of 19, what are we looking for?
Well, we have a four-part vision to evangelize hearts, to educate minds, encourage talent, and embrace the future. And so let's back up and talk about evangelizing hearts. We already mentioned that our teachers and our administrators have to be certified in religious education. So they have to do continuing study and work on that so that they can weave our values and help form the children in our faith in every class, whether it's physics or math or religion.
Right.
You know, we should be forming our students in gospel values. A lot of math teachers say that more prayer goes on in math class than ever goes on in religion, mostly because of the quizzes and the tests. You know, that's just how it is. So we're very proud of the work that our faculty has done, not just our religion teachers, but all of our faculty. Our ACRE scores, that's the Assessment for Catechesis and Religious Education, ACRE. It's a nationally normed test, and we only look at the norms for students in Catholic schools. We don't look at parish schools of religion because those don't have the hours and the time that our students have in the Catholic faith. But we look at our scores. The test is designed to test grades 5, 8, and 11. All students in the Diocese of Baton Rouge in grades 5, 8, and 11 are tested now.
Wow, great.
And so we look at that against norms in the nation, and there's 6 or 7 domains in that test. We are above national norm in all domains in all 3 grades.
That's
so
great.
we know that we have a very solid faith formation. In addition to that, our schools do a lot of service hours, because it's one thing to know your faith, it's another thing to live your faith.
Absolutely.
And they do service hours, and a lot of the students feel like the service component of what they do in Catholic schools is the most valuable.
Absolutely.
Most valuable to them for development. So we're very, very happy about how we evangelize hearts. We have a new elementary, middle school curriculum. It's posted on our website at csobr.org with standards, very rigorous standards. And we have the high school curriculum is the USCCB framework that came out. In fact, we did that first about 5 years ago, and then we followed up, just developing our elementary and middle curriculum. So all of that is updated. It's very contemporary, very ready to go. So people can look that up and see the amount of rigor in what we offer in evangelizing hearts. The second component is to educate minds. We are very happy with the ACT scores. Again, this year, the class of 2019 did a great job. We're above national and state average, as usual, and we get stronger and stronger. The statistics of how ready our students are, they call the readiness scores for college, continue to get stronger. So we're very, very happy with that. We also are very happy with our ACT Aspire. The principals voted to adopt ACT Aspire testing about 4 years ago. And it was hard that first year because we used to have a test and they were very familiar with it. It just wasn't as rigorous as the ACT Aspire. It's sort of like going from Richard Simmons' workout to P90X.
Wow.
It really
what a visual.
They were really tired and they were really sore.
Yes.
But it's worked out great. We stayed the course and the teachers have stepped up and those students are performing very well. We look at a growth index and all of the subjects and all these grades 3 to 8 are tested.
Right.
And some of the high schools even use it as part of their testing program, because I think the Plan and the Explore, what they used to use is now, it's all aligned with the ACT
right,
test.
it's all rolled
It
in.
is very rigorous, and our students do very well. Our growth index has been phenomenal, surprisingly phenomenal. We're very happy.
Great.
So that's been very good for us, to just make sure that we're helping the students be ready, college and career ready.
Absolutely.
And then the third component is to encourage, talent.
Right.
All you have to do is look at any Catholic school in the afternoon, and you see students taking all kinds of things, playing sports or being in clubs or taking extra little classes, enrichment programs. But one of the things we're very proud of is our technology development in our schools. The students have one-to-one laptops in elementary and high school throughout the diocese, most of our schools.
That's
We
great.
have robotics, we have STEM education, we have TV studios.
Right.
So I guess we could tell Stephen Lee that we have some students who could
We ought to intern them here.
intern them here. Yeah, you know what? That's not a bad idea. I'll be in touch. But we're very excited that our schools have done those kinds of technology initiatives and programs for the students, so that they're getting that kind of experience.
We had a robotics team from St. Teresa go to California recently.
Right.
Because they missed one of our functions because they were there and we were
Right,
here.
they're in California
Yeah.
doing robotics.
It's amazing.
From little old Baton Rouge, Louisiana. How awesome is that?
Middle school.
Middle school, that's right.
Yeah, it's
now,
like-
I will say, Point Coupee, a few years ago, their team went to Hawaii,
Oh.
and they did not take the superintendent. They did
Oh,
not.
Well, that's why they didn't go to California.
But at least
this
they
year.
texted me and told me how they did. They placed pretty high. So it's really important, because those students who are participating in that's their interest. And we want to be able to develop God-given potential.
Right.
And whether it's on the ball field or whether it's behind a computer, we want students to be able to develop.
We often say, look, find out what you're good at or what you're interested in. That's what you're going to excel in.
And that's true. And if you're interested and you love what you do, and that becomes your career, you never work a day in
I
your
know.
life.
Yeah, that's right.
Isn't that great?
Just live it.
We live it. And the fourth part of our vision is to embrace the future. And we're really, really happy that our board members throughout the diocese have participated and been very engaged in our strategic planning. This past year and a half, we've been doing some really focused strategic planning on the future. And so the Diocesan School Board has led the initiative. Judith Robertson and Jeff Larson and Hal Dupuy and all of those people on the board have done a phenomenal job. So our strategic plan should come out very shortly, before Christmas, and you'll be hearing a lot. We'll be advertising and doing a lot just to say where are we and where do we want to be in 3 to 5 years.
It's a macro plan for the
So
whole
3
diocese.
to 5 years.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we have one, but each school also has one.
Right.
Because each school's direction might be slightly different. We know we're all moving forward, but what the needs of each school have to be customed.
Right.
They have to be custom needs. One size fits none. So we want schools to stay unique, but we also want them to think about best practice and to learn from
Right.
each other.
That sounds good. So, is there input being given? You're asking for input? Or
Oh, yes, we get input every year from our stakeholders. Through our accreditation process, we have a survey schedule, or calendar. And so we have different surveys that go out each year to our stakeholders. But in addition to that, some of the boards, the local advisory boards, did extra little questionnaires to their stakeholders to get information. And we're also looking at data. We're looking at geographic data, demographic data, different components that might help us at the diocesan level.
Well, that sounds great. One of the things that seems to be in the minds of a lot of people is Catholic education seems like a pie in the sky thing. How can I afford it? How can I? I'd love to do it, but my daughter is always telling me, it's really expensive. And all. Tell us what we can do for some people.
Well, we have a lot of opportunities for tuition assistance. And what I love about the Diocese of Baton Rouge Catholic Schools is that we have a way to vet for need. So
Right.
all the parents have to do is fill out an application form through our website, and they can go there and work. Well, they work through the school,
Right.
but it's online. It's not hard to do.
Right.
And then we look at their means and what the need is, and we try to help at the diocesan level, and a lot of schools help at the school level.
Right.
So anyone who really wants a Catholic education, we can help them.
Yeah.
And we feel very good about that. The Bishop's Annual Appeal, the Black and Indian Mission, really come through and help families.
That sounds great. You know, being out in Ascension Parish, I'm probably going to take a hit for this after I say it. I get often parents say, yeah, but we have great education in Ascension Parish. And my comeback is real simple. Is your son comprised, or daughter, comprised of a mind, a body, and a spirit? Well, of course. Well, the schools in Ascension Parish help with their minds. Some of them have PE, but where's the spiritual dimension?
Right. That faith formation is so important.
We try to do it with PSR, but it's so difficult because in that environment, they're not getting supported.
Right, the same way.
And that's what you were saying. Even in non-religion classes,
That's right.
their faith is being supported. That is so much a part of holistic formation.
And a faith lens. When you read a novel, or you learn something in social studies or civics or current events or anything, the faith lens through which you are able to interpret what the information, I think,
Right.
is so important to teach children that.
Right.
And how can you not afford it? How can you not afford it?
That's
it's
the
an
question.
investment in your child's future.
Absolutely. That is the conversation, quite frankly, that I have with my daughter all the time. And I'm not having it with my sons because they're already there. But
Right.
but it's a stretch for some people, but it's a mandatory stretch because you can't afford not to do it.
It's a gift of a Catholic education, but a lot of grandparents, I have known uncles, single uncles, who have paid Catholic school tuition
Yeah.
for their nieces and nephews because
Right.
they felt like, well, I'll never have a child, however, I want to make sure that my niece or my nephew or my grandchild, and I think that if everybody in the family puts in, a lot of times you can afford it.
Yeah. It's a gift that keeps on giving.
It does. It
Absolutely. Listen, I'm so glad you came by and filled us in on where we were, where we are, and where we're going. It's always a pleasure to have you here, to let the folks know that Catholic education is alive, it's thriving, it's getting better and better, and it's because of your tireless efforts, and we appreciate you.
We have great staff. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today on Catholic Life. We've been talking to the Superintendent of Education for Catholic Schools in the Diocese of Baton Rouge, Dr. Melanie Palmisano, and we're so thankful that she came today. If you have any questions about the Catholic schools, I'm sure that you can send an email, and it's all on the website, and they'll be glad to give you some information because it's an open book,
It is.
so to speak. And once again, thanks for joining us today. Till next time, God bless.